Ever wonder if your boss is secretly checking up on you? Maybe even going undercover to see how things really run when they're not around? Well, that's exactly what happened in this story, and let me tell you, it changed everything for everyone involved. Get ready to dive into the incredible tale of Mark Evans, CEO of Evans Mart, and the day he walked into his own store as an undercover boss. Mark Evans, at 45, wasn't your typical out-of-touch CEO. He was the proud founder of Evans Mart, a convenience store chain that had exploded in popularity over the last decade. It all started with a single, humble store, a little shop he personally managed in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Through sheer grit, hard work, and a clear vision, Evans Mart blossomed into a thriving franchise with locations popping up all over the place. But as the business ballooned, something shifted for Mark. He started to feel a growing distance from the heart of his company. The day-to-day operations, numbers and reports on spreadsheets just weren't cutting it anymore. They didn't give him the real, ground-level understanding he craved. He found himself constantly questioning, did his employees feel valued? Was his vision of top-notch customer service actually being lived out in his stores? These questions gnawed at him, and that's when Mark decided to do something pretty radical. He cooked up a plan to go undercover. He'd disguise himself as a regular, everyday worker and visit one of his stores unannounced. For his undercover mission, he zeroed in on the third store he'd ever opened. It was located in a bustling urban area and consistently ranked as one of his top performers. Mark wanted to see, firsthand, what made this location tick, and if there were any cracks in the facade of success. The transformation began with his wardrobe. Out went the power suits, and in came an old pair of jeans, a well-worn hoodie, and a baseball cap pulled low. He mussed up his hair a bit, and even let his beard grow out into a respectable scruff. The goal? Blend in, become invisible, avoid any flicker of recognition. Stepping into the store early that morning, Mark was immediately hit by the organized chaos of a busy convenience store. Customers were already milling around, browsing the aisles. Employees were hustling, stocking shelves and tidying up. A low hum of chatter filled the air, a mix of conversations and the beeps of scanners. Mark took a moment to just soak it all in, scanning the room, trying to get a feel for the atmosphere. He then approached the store manager, Joe, a kind-faced man in his late 40s or early 50s. With a slightly nervous but confident demeanor, Mark introduced himself as Mike, a temporary worker sent over from headquarters to lend a hand with stocking and organizing. Joe, without a second thought, welcomed Mike warmly. He seemed genuinely happy to have the extra help, especially during the morning rush. He quickly put Mark to work, assigning him to stack shelves near the front of the store, right by the checkout counters. Mark's plan was elegantly simple. Observe, interact, listen. He was there to be a fly on the wall, but also to engage with employees and customers, all while pretending to be just another cog in the Evans Mart machine. As he worked, unpacking boxes of snacks and drinks, his attention kept getting drawn to the cashier. The cashier was a young guy named Ryan, probably in his early 20s. What struck Mark immediately was Ryan's infectious cheerfulness. He wasn't just going through the motions. He was genuinely engaging with people. Every customer was greeted with a bright smile and a friendly word. It was clear Ryan knew many of the regulars by name, chatting with them about their families, their day, or even just the weather. Mark was genuinely impressed. Ryan's enthusiasm and his knack for connecting with people were exactly what Mark had always envisioned for Evans Mart employees. But then, as Mark was arranging some boxes of chips near the checkout counter, he overheard a conversation that stopped him in his tracks. It was between Ryan and a customer, an elderly gentleman wearing a worn-out jacket. The man was purchasing just a few essentials, a small loaf of bread and a carton of milk. As Ryan rang him up, he looked at the man with a warm, compassionate gaze and said, "Mr. Thompson, don't worry about the total today. It's on me." Mr. Thompson, clearly taken aback, hesitated. "Ryan, I can't keep letting you do this. You'll get in trouble." Ryan just flashed a reassuring smile and whispered, "It's fine. I've got this." The elderly man, his eyes a little misty, thanked Ryan quietly and shuffled out of the store. Mark was floored. He just couldn't wrap his head around what he had just witnessed. Why would a cashier, especially a young one, pay out his own pocket for a customer? It just didn't make business sense, but it made a whole lot of human sense. He decided right then and there that he needed to watch Ryan even more closely over the next few hours. Mark kept a discreet eye on Ryan while continuing his stocking duties. And what he saw was even more remarkable. It wasn't just a one-time act of kindness. Mark noticed Ryan quietly helping several other customers throughout the morning. He saw him cover small shortfalls in bills for struggling moms, give generous discounts on the sly, and even subtly slip extra items into bags without charging for them. It was like Ryan had a secret mission to spread kindness and generosity to those who needed it most. By the end of his shift, Mark's curiosity had reached a fever pitch. He couldn't just let it go. He found Ryan in the break room during a lull and approached him, still playing the role of Mike, the temporary stock worker. "Hey, Ryan," Mark began casually, "I couldn't help but notice you helping out a lot of people today. Why do you do it?" Ryan looked a little surprised by the direct question, maybe even a bit wary at first. But he quickly relaxed and answered honestly, his sincerity radiating from him. "Mike," he said, "some of the people who come in here are really struggling. Mr. Thompson, the man you saw earlier, he lost his wife recently, and he's barely making ends meet. And there's this single dad who comes in with his kids sometimes. They can't always afford everything they need. I just try to help where I can. It's not much, but I hope it makes a difference." As Ryan spoke, Mark felt a lump forming in his throat. Here was this young man, working hard, earning a modest salary, and yet he was going out of his way day after day to support complete strangers. His heart swelled with a mixture of admiration and respect. He wanted to ask more, to delve deeper into Ryan's motivations in his life, but he decided to hold back for now. He wanted to learn more organically, to see the full picture unfold. The next day, Mark was back at the store, arriving even earlier than before. He continued his undercover work, diligently stocking shelves and observing. This time, he made a point to strike up conversations with other employees, wanting to get a broader sense of the store's atmosphere and employee morale. He found himself chatting with Bill, the older stockroom worker, the same one Joe had introduced him to the first day. Bill was a seasoned employee, a salt-of-the-earth type with a wealth of experience and a keen eye for detail. During a break, as they were both sorting through inventory in the back room, Mark steered the conversation towards Ryan. "Ryan seems like a really great kid," Mark remarked casually, hoping to glean some more information. Bill nodded in agreement, his expression softening. "Yeah, Ryan's one of the good ones. Works hard. Always got a smile for everyone." But then his tone shifted, a hint of concern creeping in. "You know, Ryan's had a tough life," Bill confided. "His dad passed away when he was just a teenager, and he's been working odd jobs ever since to support his younger brother. Barely takes a day off, even when he's sick. He's a good kid, but I worry about him. He's always giving to others, but I don't think anyone's really looking out for him." Mark was stunned. Ryan, the cheerful, energetic young man who was the embodiment of customer service, was carrying such a heavy burden. His selfless acts of kindness were even more poignant, knowing the struggles he himself was facing. It painted a whole new picture of Ryan's character and his quiet heroism. By the third day, Mark knew he had seen enough. He had witnessed firsthand the incredible dedication of Ryan and the quiet struggles of some of his employees. He had seen the heart and soul of Evans Mart beating in this one store, in the actions of a young cashier who put others before himself. It was time to reveal his true identity and take action. After the store closed that evening, Mark gathered the entire team for a meeting in the break room. There was a bit of confused murmuring as everyone assembled, wondering what was going on. Standing in front of them, Mark took a deep breath, reached up, and removed his baseball cap and hoodie, letting his more familiar CEO appearance emerge. "Hi everyone," he began, his voice clear and steady, cutting through the chatter. "I'm Mark Evans, the CEO of Evans Mart." The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Jaws dropped, eyes widened, and a collective gasp rippled through the room. Ryan looked especially shocked, his eyes fixed on Mark in disbelief. "I've been working here undercover for the past few days," Mark continued, letting the weight of his words sink in. "I wanted to see firsthand what's happening in my stores, to understand what it's really like on the front lines. And I have to say," he paused, his voice filled with emotion, "this has been an eye-opening experience." He turned his gaze directly to Ryan, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Ryan," Mark said, his voice filled with genuine admiration, "your kindness and generosity have truly inspired me. You go above and beyond for our customers, even when you don't have to. I've seen how much you care, and I want you to know that it hasn't gone unnoticed." Then, Mark made a series of announcements that would change Ryan's life, and the lives of many others at Evans Mart. He announced that Ryan would be immediately promoted to a management position, with a significant raise that reflected his true value to the company. But he didn't stop there. Knowing Ryan's personal sacrifices, Mark offered to personally pay for Ryan's younger brother's education, ensuring he had the opportunity Ryan himself was working so hard to provide. And finally, Mark announced the creation of a new company-wide fund, dedicated to supporting Evans Mart employees in need across all locations. It was a tangible way to institutionalize the kind of compassion and support that Ryan embodied. Ryan was completely overwhelmed. Tears welled up in his eyes as he tried to process the whirlwind of events. He thanked Mark profusely, his voice choked with emotion, but insisted that he didn't help people to get anything in return. He did it because it was the right thing to do. Mark smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile. "Ryan," he replied, "that's exactly why you deserve it." From that day forward, that particular Evans Mart store became a shining example, a model for all other locations in the chain. Employee morale soared. Customers felt even more valued and appreciated. And Mark, the CEO who had once felt so disconnected, made it a point to regularly visit his stores, not just as a boss, but as a listener, a learner, and a champion of his employees. In the end, one undercover visit, one act of quiet observation, changed not only Mark's perspective as a CEO, but also the lives of the people he met, especially Ryan. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest leadership comes from listening, from seeing the world through the eyes of those on the front lines, and from recognizing and rewarding the quiet heroes among us. And that's the story, folks. A real-life reminder that kindness and compassion can change everything, even in the world of business. Did this story resonate with you? Did it give you a little boost of faith in humanity? If so, imagine getting more stories like this, stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us of the good in the world. You can make that happen. If you're looking for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks to brighten your day and enrich your life, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join our community and let's explore the incredible world of inspiring narratives together. Don't miss out on the next heartwarming tale. Subscribe today